It's the 10th one, covering 11 weeks of practicing deep democracy and liberating structures together. I think that's awesome. For myself, I'd never thought that this would. I really love it. I'm super excited about it. So a very, very, very warm welcome. A warm welcome to everyone who followed one or more sessions, or maybe you are only joining today. Welcome to all memories of sessions, a memory of the tools, the feelings you had, emotions you experienced in the past weeks in these sessions, conversations you had, insights you gained, and welcome also to all blurry memories of not remembering so much. Welcome to all caring vibes today, to giving yourself to people you love, giving yourself to people you work with, giving and nourishing the communities that you feel part of, professional communities or more private communities. Welcome to giving to a society that you sometimes might feel or not feel part of. Welcome to caring, often without respecting your own boundaries, without respecting your own needs. Sometimes even giving and nourishing communities without feeling recognized for it, or without the feeling of being seen or valued. Welcome to the struggle this might cause inside of you, and for choosing to keep loving, to keep on digging deep into altruism. And with that, welcome to self-love. Welcome to caring for yourself, taking time to rest, taking time to think about what you need, what fulfills you as a person, in order to start giving again, to keep on giving to those people you love. And honoring deep democracy, I invite you today to pay extra attention again to the voices that just sound a tiny bit different. Voices in yourself, voices in this group. We are so used to looking for similarities. Notice the voices that are a bit different, voices of doubt. And I invite you to listen into all the needs that are hiding behind these voices of doubt and care. And with that, voila, we launched the last session. First part is going to be led by Jeremy. We're going to do a very old school retrospective, basically, on what we've been doing. In the last 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, we're going to introduce a special way of giving compliments to others and caring for others. Voila, Jeremy, your turn.
Word. Thanks, Lean. I love the symbolism of everyone joining in the midst of your inclusive welcome, as if you were literally calling them out of the internet into this space together. Thanks, guys. So what we're going to run through is an exercise, a liberating structure you won't be surprised to hear, called Ecocycle Planning. And Ecocycle Planning can be used to document and reflect on any portfolio of activities. In this instance, what we're actually going to do is use Ecocycle Planning to document our liberating structures learning journey. So first I'm going to run through the positions or phases in Ecocycle Planning, and then I'm going to unpack it as it relates to our liberating structures learning journey. And then we're going to go ahead and do that, each one of us. So first and foremost, what's up? Sorry. First and foremost is the stage of gestation up there at the top left. So gestation is the space of renewal that is just pure fertilization. Means that you know, when an egg is fertilized, then there is the potential for life to take place, but it certainly isn't viable, right? It still needs a lot of time, a lot of attention, a lot of care. It exists in a space that is just pure potential and possibility. Whereas birth birth, if you think about it, is from the human perspective, like 9 months after that gestation, after that fertility, an enormous amount of care and resources have already gone into bringing life into something once it actually is born. And even though there's something viable that is alive, that exists separate from the creator of that thing, it hasn't moved to this space of maturity where it can effortlessly produce value, so to speak, for the world. So there's a lot of energy still required from birth into that space of maturity. And maturity, though, has this hallmark of, all right, the harvest season, right? All of the energy has sort of gone into it, and now we're in this sort of virtuous cycle of, hey, we reap what we have sown, so to speak. And then, last but not least, is the phase of creative destruction. For creative destruction, this is when, this is the space of agedness, of retirement, more or less. Right? This is, go home, boomers, and, make space for new voices, right? And using that as an example, that's actually a really good example of this rigidity trap that you see here on the right-hand side. A rigidity trap is, we've got something good here, something that works well enough, that produces some amount of value effortlessly and automatically. But by our attachment and holding on to it, we don't move into creative destruction, and we don't make space for that renewal and new energy, new gestation. We continue to reap benefits, but also to take up space and energy that we could use for new things. Over on the left-hand side is a different trap, and that is the poverty trap. So the poverty trap is the space of scarcity, where there is something waiting for us in gestation. We've already identified there is some brand new idea, but if you don't take the amount of time and energy that it takes to move that idea from just pure potential into an actual phase of birth, it gets sort of stuck in this poverty trap. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this model of the Ecocycle to document the liberating structures learning journey. So in the next slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the icons for liberating structures. And what we're going to do is we're going to place those icons, we're going to duplicate this slide and place those icons where our personal level of familiarity has gone. So if you've never seen or heard of or tried a structure, it's going to go in gestation. If through this practice group or some other setting, you've seen it and you've been led and guided by someone else, you'll put it in birth. If you've used it and hosted other people through it, then you'll put it in maturity. And if you've helped other people to host it themselves, then you'll put it into the phase that is creative destruction. So each liberating structure has an icon, and on the next slide, what we're going to do is we're going to take these icons and put them where they belong. So this will be the slide, and what you can see is that I can't edit the slide in this view because I forgot that. But each icon is here on the slide. So everybody right now, go to the Graviton training group, practice group, the chat, and follow the link to this slide deck and make your own copy of this slide. And put your name up here at the top left and also put in the date. And from there, what we're going to do is create our own documentation where we are sort of at on the liberating structures learning journey. This is one that I did back in October. So all you do is you just grab the icon, you go...
I don't find the link. Sorry.
You don't find the link? It's not in the chat for Gravity?
Oh, the normal one?
Yeah.
slide number is this?
1,122, 21. Yeah, 123 to be exact. So, like I said, what you'll do is you'll just take the icon over there on the left. You'll see the liberating structures menu, right? So this is the icon for 1, 2, 4 all. Maybe it's a little hard to see. You might want to move this guy down so it's more accessible to you on slide 122.
Jeremy, we can't see you. I don't know if it's just me.
No, I can't either.
Like my video, or?
Yeah, we hear you perfectly, but your video is like not showing. Neither your
Okay.
palm or.
You or your screen. So I don't know which icon you're talking about.
Also, I would like to ask, like for a short description of the tools and the ones that we have used.
You back, Jeremy? I think he can't hear. Uh-oh. Wait.
And how about now? Is that better?
Yeah, you're back.
Yes,
All
we
right.
see you.
Nobody panic. This is part of the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were just testing us.
Yeah, right. The self-organizing capability of the group. So the long story short is you grab the icon from slide 123 or wherever your duplicate is, and you just drag it to wherever your familiarity with the structure that it corresponds to on this ecocycle. And that will enable us to create this artifact that acts as a documentation of where you are on your personal learning journey. And what that can help us do is to, mad props for what you have learned. Take some opportunity to, oh yeah, I have learned that shit. And then to think about what's next to learn and how you might want to be more intentional about the next step in your own learning journey. So the proposal on the table now is just to take 5 minutes and make your own ecocycle planning with your own documentation of the liberating structures learning journey. And then we can chop it up and move on to the next.
Can you do a quick demonstration?
Yeah. So I'll just do it on slide 123 here. So this is the symbol for 1, 2, 4 all. You can see it over on the left-hand side there. So 1, 2, 4 all is a structure that let's actually do it for you, Zepti. You've tried 1, 2, 4 all, right?
1, 2, 4.
4 all. Have you been in one of the practice sessions where we tried that liberating structure?
I missed one, the last one actually.
The last one. So on one of the first sessions, we did this one. We did 1, 2, 4 all. So that means that for you, it's in the stage of birth. You've seen it. You've been through, with my help and Lean's help, you were guided to use that structure, but you know that it exists. And there is the possibility that you could use it with other people. Maybe you haven't yet, but that possibility, that potential does exist.
Yeah.
Another, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. Like it's birth. I didn't mature or anything.
Exactly. And then there's this other structure that is 9 Ys. right? So 9 whys. Have you ever seen this liberating structure before?
The thing is, like, I'm very bad to names, so I don't even remember. Like, probably, if you explain me like what was it about, I was like, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'll sort of cheat here because let's just say, for example, we didn't use it in this practice group. So, or did we actually? Do you remember, Lean, if we did 9 whys in one of the earlier sessions?
I don't think so, no.
No, okay. So if we didn't do it in this practice group, then we'll just say it doesn't exist for intents and purposes. We can just say, then you've never seen it. And we can do that with most of these things. Appreciative interviews, you've probably never seen. Troika consulting. Troika, I know that we did. We did those give and get help triads, right? Where we gave advice twice and we did it. We accepted help once. Triz, we also did. Triz was the exercise where we actively brainstormed how to make things horrible. So we could put that one in the birth phase. Celebrity interview, probably not. We didn't do it here.
Is it clear to everyone what we need to do?
It's clear, but I am not sure where to put. I mean, it's kind of clear. I did understand what is the game, the logistic, but I'm not sure exactly where to put each one of them in my journey.
Yep, well, that's the exercise, right? So grab a slide, put your name on it, and take a few minutes to drag them around to what feels good. I mean, you'll probably have to go back and forth from this image on the left, which is the menu, to see what structure that icon corresponds to. But don't overthink it too much. If you just go, no, what the fuck is that? Then chances are it's probably still in gestation, and that's okay. Everybody starts with everything in gestation, right? And then with time, we learn some things, and that goes at whatever pace it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, but I would like to ask about some of the ones that we haven't used, just for curiosity.
Sure.
Like 15% solutions,
Mhm.
or 25-10 crowdsourcing.
Awesome. Yeah, 15% solutions. I like how this is going in a different direction. Actually, so 15% solutions is an invitation that asks us or invites us to think about if whatever the big solution is, whatever the situation we're put to, whatever we think the grand architecture solution is, the big solution to that problem or situation, 15% solutions just asks us to think about what's the first step. So let's say that you don't have any more time, you don't have any more resources, you don't have any extra authority than what you have right here, right now. What can you do to offer 15% of that grand and full, complete solution? And usually what we do with 15% solutions is, after thinking about that silently for a while, we'd have a one-on-one conversation about what we think our 15% solution is with somebody else, and just get a little bit of feedback and trade thoughts about those. 25-10 crowdsourcing is one of the very few explicitly decision-making patterns in liberating structures. So let's say that all of us were together in the same room. What we would do is, I would offer us let's say 15% solution, right? I would ask us to write down what we think the most appropriate 15% solution for whatever our situation is. On the back of on an index card, we would all write down our preferred 15% solution. And then, so in this instance, there's what, 2, 4, 6, 7 of us. So we've got 7 index cards with one idea on it. What we then do is we just trade index cards around, and a whole bunch of times, basically randomizing which index card is in your hand at any moment. And then at some point, we would turn over the index card, look at the idea, and then score that idea on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being, I don't think that's a great idea. I certainly don't want to be involved in implementing it. 5 being, this is the most brilliant idea I've ever heard of in my life, and I will help you create it. And so what we would do is do this randomization and voting thing 5 different times. So at the end of it, each card has 5 different scores on a scale of 1 to 5. And then we would basically just go, all right, does anybody have a card with the score of 25 on it? Because that's the maximum score. Does anybody have a card with 24, 23, 22, 21, 20? And then one of us would go, yes, I've got a 20 card. So whatever the idea is that a random selection of our group has scored the highest, that would be our collective 15% solution. And we would just roll with that. That one's a little trickier to do online, but there is an app that I can find a link for that is a bit of an enabler. Any other structures? I'm happy to play story time on liberating structures like all day, every day.
What is the celebrity interview?
Yeah, celebrity interview. Celebrity interview is a really great alternative to a presentation. So instead of having somebody that has, say, expert knowledge come in and, walk you through their shiny slide deck of their findings and their knowledge, a celebrity interview invites you to treat that interaction like you're Oprah, and hold an interview of that person with expert knowledge and actively create a list of questions in advance for that celebrity. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do celebrity interview. So first and foremost, so let's say Lean is the celebrity on deep democracy, and we're going to host a celebrity interview for Lean to tell us more about deep democracy. I could either ask you guys in advance, hey, what are the questions we have for Lean and deep democracy? So that I sort of have a list of questions that I can go for. Or I, as the interviewer, could ask my select list of questions. And then at some point, having heard her presentation, I would invite you guys to split into breakout sessions of like 2 or 3 people and come up with some additional questions. And then you would bring those additional questions back to us in the shared group, and then we would work through them. So it's just an alternative to, like I said, typical PowerPoint presentations where somebody goes, all right, any questions? Because that is hard for many people to actually respond to. So that would be the pattern of celebrity interview. Any other ones you've got questions about?
Yeah, to Panorky and simple ethnography.
Shit. So let's do Panorky last because it's big. Simple ethnography is exactly what it sounds like. So a simple ethnography invites you to take the role of an ethnographer, which is somebody who is like an anthropologist, but typically for living cultures, and document what you see in observable behavior. So very often, that's much more challenging than it seems. But simple ethnography just invites you to just sort of step out of the group interaction, view the group's interaction, and document it. Document what you see, hear, and notice, but only factual data only, right? So no interpretations, no inferences on what that means or evaluations on that data, but just take notes on what you actually see, hear, and notice takes place in a group interaction. And you'll be surprised at the data that you come up with and how many different ways you can then interpret that data. So that's simple ethnography, and that works really well in a pairing with what, so what, now what. Since what, so what, now what starts with what, which is also a documentation of factual observation, and then moves into inferences. So what does that mean? What does that fact, what does that observation mean? What can you conclude by it? And what might be the impact of that factual observation? What might be the downstream consequences of it? And then moving into, after that so what, into now what. Okay, so what do we want to do based on this observation, its meaning, and its impact? What do we do with this information now? Are there any action points? It's a great time for a 15% solution, right? How might we shift things in a modest way? Panorky is the grandest of all liberating structures. Panorky takes how do I do this with any amount of brevity? It is literally, thanks Juan, it is literally the biggest liberating structure. And if you'll notice, if you look at my liberating structures learning journey, it's actually one of the two structures I have personally never used with another group. But Panorky, what it actually invites us to do is to use this ecocycle to understand an entire ecosystem. So like I said, with an ecocycle, you would typically document a portfolio of activities and place them where they sort of belong on the ecocycle, and then think about how to get those activities to flow. Move junk that's stuck in the poverty trap, move junk that's stuck in the rigidity trap. So if you think about that, we're doing this right now on an individual basis, right? I've invited each one of you guys to think about your individual liberating structures learning journey. But we could also do that same analysis on gravity as an entire group, right? We could ask, hey, so what is the knowledge that we have that is shared on liberating structures on this same content about the entire group that is gravity? And that would look very different than maybe your personal individual ecocycle. Think about it. Then what happens if we were to then move up into an even larger scale and think about the token engineering commons as in its entirety, right? That ecocycle might look dramatically different than the ecocycle of you as an individual and gravity as a specific sub-DAO. And then if we think about, right, so there's these different nested holons, right? The context for the individual is, in this instance, gravity. The context for gravity is the token engineering commons. And what Panorky invites us to do is to use this tool of the ecocycle to look at the same more or less portfolio of activities on up to 9 different scales of holons. So by the time you're done, you can go from like you as an individual or your gut bacteria, depending on how granular you want to be, all the way up to like the galactic, societal, social, global scale, right? And for each one of those scales, you would make a different ecocycle. So it's incredibly powerful structure if what you want to do is map out a whole lot of territory and come to understand an entire system and how things interact. I hope that made any type of sense. Like I said, it's the one I've never done. So anybody who is in this room or sees this on the internet, if you have an opportunity to practice Panorky, I would love to come help you with that so I can take the next step on my own liberating structures learning journey.
Is there any tool that anyone remembers vividly from practicing in the past 9 weeks that comes to mind, like immediately?
I'm like Septi. I have a hard time remembering the name. Not so sure.
Which one are you referring to? Can you describe it a little bit, maybe? Just the oldest.
I think we did let me see the name. Heard, seen, respected in open space. Did we do those? Did we do those?
I don't think so, no. We
No,
did do one
so, yeah.
with consulting that might be a bit, remember when we went to breakout groups and people had to listen deeply and then you have to be the advisor?
And that one is helping heuristics.
Yeah, that's that one, yeah.
It's hard to remember the names.
I like the one where we thought of the best possible future.
Yeah, future, present, yeah.
Well, that's useful feedback as well. So how do we help anchor the jargon, the names of the structures that we're using?
Any others that come to mind?
Also, drawing together.
The drawing together. I was not there, I think.
Totally. Yeah, you came to the meetup that I hosted too, Juan. So you saw that one, and you got like double the impact there. Well, the point of this exercise, like I said, is to keep track of how far we've come on the learning journey and to take note of how we might be intentional about taking the next step. So with that being said, I might invite you to reflect on this, to take a moment and think, so what pattern or thing might be stuck somewhere in one of these traps that I might want to learn how to use better and bring more into that space of maturity. And maybe that's a good place to wrap up and then move on to golden arrows. So how about we just go around the circle, and what pattern might you want to become more skilled at using in your local context? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what structure might you want to become more skilled at using in your local context? So is there one that you think is particularly useful that you might want to get better at?
I really like one. Sorry, I do not remember the name, but I really like one. Like we were doing, exploring different options. Everyone was saying his option, and then we were integrating feedback from everyone, and then we even end up doing the one that no one was speaking about. I think Lynn was leading this one.
Yeah, it's the decision making tool in deep democracy. It's called 5-step decision making. It doesn't really have a fancy name.
Okay.
It's the decision making process in deep democracy. Yeah, 5-step decision making.
I really enjoy that, and I think that I could apply it to my daily things when I decide stuff with people.
I think I would like to improve on one two for all, because for me it's always difficult to manage big groups, and by making smaller groups we can have more control of these spaces where there's participation for multiple people.
I'm not sure if Jeremy is still connected.
I'm just quiet. I know it's unusual. Pound for pound, 1, 2, 4 all is a great choice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could put a rocket on the moon just with 1, 2, 4 all over and over and over again. Is there anybody else who has a structure that they'd like to get better at, or is it time to move on?
I have a structure I want to use more of. It's the Troika. I heard consulting earlier, but I've been calling it Troika counseling. Is it consulting?
Yeah, I think it's Troika Consulting. But I mean,
That's
everybody
right.
just calls it Troika, right?
Yeah. I like that one a lot. I'd like to use it more.
Totally. It's also one of the most fundamental patterns. It's great.
For me, I would say I would like to use more simple ethnography. I like that one.
I like it. A non-judgmental eye. Yeah. What context couldn't be helped by that? Right? By simple observation. Well, I think then that's our time for Ecocycle Planning. Thanks, guys, for your time, attention, and energy, and creating this artifact of your own liberating structures learning journey. And then I think it makes sense to move on and throw some golden arrows to wrap up.
Yes, golden arrows. It's a tool in the democracy that we use a lot. It's a feel-good tool, but it also invites you to listen into each other deeply. And thank you for Morgan and Durgedas to show up now, because you can join the last 15 minutes of throwing golden arrows. We've been throwing arrows before, but I think it was in the Will Smith's episode, remember, where we researched polarities by throwing golden arrows. Not golden arrows, toxic arrows, so to speak. But today we're going to give each other compliments. It's a fairly easy exercise. The first step is that we're going to repeat the safety rules together of deep democracy to set a safe and a brave space. Then we're gonna have the first person throw all the golden arrows to the other person that one can think of. And with that, I mean compliments, things that you like about the other person, things that you were impressed by, gratefulness, praise, anything, right? Anything that you think highly of that other person. The other person, so person 2, just listen. Do not engage in a conversation. Don't start thinking about answers or responses. Just be. Just listen and take it in. That's all you have to do. And when person 1 has finished, you switch roles and the second person goes. And the second person goes as if the first part has not happened, right? So you start throwing the golden arrows, the compliments to the other person. The person listened again. In step 3, so when you've thrown all the arrows, step 3, you stay close to yourself and you say what touched you, what you started feeling when the other person was throwing these arrows, what your body felt like, what you started thinking also maybe. It's still one-way communication, and then the other person shares that. And the last step, you zoom out a little bit and you tell each other how you experienced the exercise, how you experienced listening to each other. So it's important for this tool that you do not immediately engage in a conversation, because we do that very often. Somebody gives us a compliment, and then the first thing, yeah, but that is because, and you start explaining yourself a little bit or taking it down a little bit, That is absolutely not the goal. You listen and you just take it in. It would be amazing if we could go to some voice channels and that you pick a partner. There's quite a lot of voice channels available, I see. So pick a partner and go to a voice channel. Maybe just to throw it around and make it easier, maybe Juan, can you go to one of the voice channels? Bianca, maybe you can also go to one. Septimus, you too. I'm counting. And Durgadas, maybe. And before you go, read out loud on the last slide the safety rules. Before you start, you agree on the safety rules. So, and then the people that I haven't named, just pick one of the channels. Yeah, okay, there's a mix up here. So maybe...
132 you're talking about?
Yeah, the absolute last slide has the safety rules. Okay, so Durgadas has left to a channel. Maybe somebody can join him.
I'll go with him.
Cool. Okay, cool. Okay, cool, perfect. Aloysius and Morgan, do you feel like teaming up and throwing golden arrows at each other in a channel?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Go ahead.
Which one do you want to go to, Alo?
Immunitas.
All right.
Cool. I just forgot to tell them that they have about 5 to 10 minutes and then they can come back. Anyway. You still recording, Bear? I don't
No,
know,
let's
Jeremy.
do this.
Are we going to throw golden arrows live on air?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an exhibitionist.
All right.
Who wants to go
But
first? Do you want to go
let's do
first,
it.
or should I go first?
Let's do it properly. And first, we invite each other. Hey, Jeremy, do you want to throw some golden arrows with me?
I'm down for it. Let's do it.
So before we start, let's repeat this. There is no monopoly on the truth. You can be as right as I am, even if we have a different opinion. We do this because we want to stay connected. And we do this because we want to learn something about ourselves, each other, and the group at large. Any rule you want to add? Anything else you need to do?
I always like to lean in to say everything, right?
Say everything.
Yep, let it
Say
rip.
everything positive.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, go ahead. You can start.
All right. Lean. I think you are like a sleeper hit. Like you are an unsung hero that that extends an enormous amount of energy without almost the slightest sense of self. What I really appreciate is the way that you're able to just bring a random constellation of people together and create a context where just collaboration happens in this way that is just deeply effortless. And what I also appreciate is just the care that you also extend into creating that space that has this detail and fineness to it that takes serious information that normally is very easy to just oh well, never mind that, right? One of the things I appreciate the most is also the way that you just invite people in, right? And that you've invited me in to be a part of this thing and this team, that this Regions Unite thing, to be really specific. May 19th and 20th, for anyone out there on YouTube, regionsunite.earth. You should go check it out. And yeah, and there's just this sense of overwhelming possibility and optimism that I get when I hang out with you. And it's really, really fucking easy to host this practice group with you, right? It's just it's just so nice. It's so fucking easy. It's great. I mean, can you imagine, in February, January, we hardly knew each other, and yet, we've been able to just bring this thing together, over and over and over again. It's so nice to be able to stew in this space of creativity that just lets things pop up in this really effortless fashion. Girl. All right.
Ready to switch?
Oh, I notice I'm sweating already. This part's hard. I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, I admire a lot the passion that you have on liberating structures. It really is in you. It's part of you, and you are fearless, absolutely fearless in sharing that. You breathe it. It's your mission, like a missionary. I also admire and I'm a bit like, Jesus, if only I had a little bit more of that. The energy that you can super impulsively get on stage, um, and just do that and call people together in a very, very spontaneous, very energetic way. Um, yeah, if the bravery, the fearlessness, it's very, very inspiring, very inspiring, very passionate also, very nice. Yeah, and then of course I also very much like how easy we host the space together. Um, it's indeed it's effortless. You have an enormous knowledge on liberating structures. There's always a tool in your backpack that you just whap, you take out. So it's a wonderful experience to work with somebody who's so experienced like you, that teaches me so much on all these structures. You've definitely taken me down the rabbit hole even more with liberating structures. So it was a very, very big opportunity for me to experience that. Um, your positivity, um, the energy, but also the bit of the mysterious side that is hiding in there. Um, of definitely not showing everything at all times, hiding things, which gives it a very human touch. It's very, very human, very, yeah, very, yeah, human. I cannot say it in any other way. Um, I'm not done yet. I'm thinking. um, I love also how you, without expressing it, I somehow sense that, yeah, you like hanging out in the TC, and then it's that you enjoy it a lot. You show that, without expressing it. You have that, like, you like being here, and that's very important. It's a very important energy in a group, that somebody just likes to hang out, likes to be there. It's that positivity that keeps a group together. Very important energy. Um, and it was great meeting you live last week, and having beer together and more. Yes, that was awesome. Um, yeah, you were the local that we could count on to go on an adventure. That was amazing. Um, yeah. All right. I think that was it.
Cool. So what I noticed, like, I noticed before you started the sense of like blushing and like just being on fire and like sweat like building everywhere in the heat. And it especially jumped out when you sort of like when you pointed at the enthusiasm, especially the impulsiveness. That I noticed was like, oh yeah, shit. Like, it's so funny. Like, you mentioned these things of like me like jumping up on a stage and creating a bunch of action, and I didn't like not up until now that you mentioned it was I self-aware in that. I was just like, no, this is the thing we got to do. Like, that's what needs to get done to get the word out. So there was something that was like, yeah, that really made me recognize that is a particular, I don't know if it's a talent, a skill, or whatever, but that's a thing that I got that I should be grateful for, actually. What touched you?
That it's noticed that indeed a lot of my work goes into making and building teams. That's what I do a lot, putting people together and sort of spotting people and orchestrating a team to work on something. And that I put a lot of care in that. Yeah, that sounds like what I do. But it's so hard to hear compliments. It's like, yeah. You start censoring yourself always a little bit because you think, yeah, it's normal. And yeah, it's hard to hear always.
Yeah, it's such a trip, right? So I feel like we're making the shift into zooming out, right? On one hand, like what you're describing is what is being described is absolutely everything that I want to be recognized for. And yet, like in the recognition, there is this movement that just comes up that like wants to make it like small, right? And be like modest about it. And the travesty of that is actually no, like I want to be maximally open to this compliment that you offer me because it's in those moments when it's really, really hard, like that I will need that fuel that provides me, right, to keep going. And if I sort of close myself up and make myself small, then I'm not able to like soak up that goodness. Right? What do you notice?
Yeah, I resonate a lot with the energy it gives you to give somebody a deep compliment. To not censor it or put it in perspective or whatever you do to compliments that come your way. It's fuel. It's really fuel. Yeah, yeah. It's very much part of taking care of a group and of people to very often make time for throwing golden arrows or throwing compliments or whatever kind of praise routine you can implement into your group and team. It's something that we don't often make time for, for these things.
Yeah, and as hearing you, what jumps up at me is how you're right that there's like the giving of the compliment does have this like this I don't know, I just want to say like strength to it, right? There's something that is empowering about like offering that recognition to someone for their gifts, and that like I guess it also makes me feel like a little stupid and like crazy for like why would I possibly want to like get in the way of your positive feeling about giving me a compliment. Even if I feel super weird and squishy, like I still want to be like maximally gracious and just say, thank you, right? Thank you. That means a lot, right? Yeah. Even if I'm like, I want to downplay it like desperately, like just thank you. It means a lot.
I agree. All right. I'm too curious to not ask for any feedback on the tool and how it made you feel, or how did you experience it?
I think it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was definitely a very direct, like, relationship strengthener. kind of like no bullshit. This is really what I like about you, what I love about you, how I want to connect with you, what I admire about you. Like, nah, like this is how you're showing up. So that was cool.
Give me a hug, you motherfucker.
The group hug. That was last week.
I
So-
liked.
Who's going? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I really liked the like out of body experience kind of moment that I got to have, where something that I do that I just like I do with so much intention but don't have words for got to be like described back to me. It was really validating and like also gave me language like to communicate what it is that I'm doing. It was really sweet.
Yeah, it was very nice. I love this practice groups that we have on Tuesdays. I think it brings us back together as a group and as like the Gravity family. It brings us closer and we get intimacy with each other and it's very nice. And I was just crying to Juan.
Oh,
It was very nice.
I love you too, Bianca.
I love you all.
oh.
Yeah.
Durgadas, did you also want to share something a bit earlier? You still want to share?
Yeah, sorry, I had somebody interrupt me right at the crucial moment there. So, yeah, I would say this felt like a personal level. I love when I first saw Golden Arrow, I thought of Golden Shadow. And what was beautiful about this was, for me, it felt like I had somebody external to myself making a positive observation about something that I might not have recognized about myself, which is following on from, Aloysius's thing, right? And so I actually, for me, that represented a personal version of what I would like to see in terms of the overall practice of folks who participate in the commons altogether, right? And so I think we do, a decent job of that in this group, as far as, or in this DAO, I guess. But we could always do more, and so my emphasis is largely on about taking things like this and surfacing them to the wider group. So that was kind of what showed up for me.
Cool.
Well, that's
I feel
what's
like
up, gang.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
No, give me your game.
Okay, I was saying I think I've been in Twitter Spaces too much because when Durgadas was speaking, I wanted to throw a heart up, and I was like, oh, I can't. Crap.
Right. Well, gang, this will be our final practice session in this iteration. So this has been the first round of this Liberating Structures and Deep Democracy practice group. I just want to thank everybody for your time, attention, and energy, like showing up and putting in the grind and helping us all learn new stuff and practice new stuff together. I really appreciate the vibes, and that's what's up. Lean, you want to take the final word?
Yeah, thank you for giving us the space, basically, and for experimenting with us what this would mean to pick a tool and to trial and error for an hour and get your feedback on it. Yeah, because it's different to do it in real life and to real life trainings than just in an hour in a community that you don't really know and then just pop. Okay, we go for 10 weeks, and so it's crazy. So thank you for giving us the space. for this experiment. I
Good
enjoyed
night.
it.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.
See you later.
See you later. Bye bye.
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 Thank you, guys.
See you.